Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. Today we'll talk about there's this recent controversy, or this video I just watched about Dr. Mike Lacuna. Okay, so this is a Christian scholar, biblical scholar, and he used to debate with Barthelman and stuff. So he took a particular stance on this verse of the Bible, that part about dead people coming back to life, the zombies. People used to call it like zombie, and the priest, the holy priest, they came back to life, and people saw them. I think it's Matthew chapter 27 or something, verse 50, around that place. But the point is that Bert Ehrman asked him that historically, do you think this is valid? And Dr. Mike Lacuna, he said, no, I don't believe this is valid. I just think they're just trying to, it's symbolism, some kind of symbolism. It's not like something that really, really happened. Now, he started getting bashed by people, especially the traditionalists of the Christian traditionalists that want to stick to the scripture no matter what. They started bashing him and calling him out. Like, this is not what, are you defending the Christian faith? How can you take this stance? Now, I want to make a contrast between him and Dr. Yasir Qadhi in Islam. Why am I saying this? I'll tell you. I've realized that there's a kind of divide between the educated people and the uneducated ones, or the lay people. Okay? The masses. There's a disconnect between the scholars and the masses. So there are some things that are already mainstream, or most people already know, and they already discuss among the scholars. That is not something new. But when the masses hear them for the first time, they always sound like, what are they talking about? How can you say this? Whereas when the scholars talk about it, it's like normal stuff. Do you understand? And this is exactly what I see with Dr. Yasir Qadhi. Many of the positions that he takes, or that he's talking about, many people have talked about it already. The scholars are aware of it. They discuss these things technically. But there's this kind of, don't let the masses know. Don't let the lay people know. Because if they know, they don't have enough education to be able to deal with the doubts that will come thereof. So there's a kind of, let's protect the masses. That kind of, let's not tell them. Let's not tell them. Now, anyone that comes out and tells them, there's this now attack on them. Okay, so because this particular position that Dr. Lacuna was taking, most Christian educated scholars, they already know, like, this thing is not like really historical. These are, see, let me tell you one thing that the scholars do. I should even make, because when you say scholar, do you mean someone that is traditional or someone that's trying to be open-minded? An open-minded scholar would try to defend the foundation of the faith. He will not defend things that are not necessary. For example, Dr. Lacuna, he doesn't really care about the dead people rising after and then walking around. His main focus will be to defend that Jesus existed, or that his doctrine, like, he rose from the dead and stuff like that. When you now start adding more complicated issues, then it just becomes very difficult to defend. Where do you stop? So, and that position that this is like symbolic, is not historical. Many biblical scholars, that even some of the critics will say, this is what he's saying. Like, at least we cannot take it literally. Now, you will find, like, for example, Dr. Yasir Qadhi, sometimes he takes a position and is educated on the issue. Whereas the other people that are criticizing him, they don't have the education. Most of them don't. Okay, so there's a kind of divide between, so what's it called? Let me say it like this. Should you, sometimes I even used to question like this. Should you even do education? Should you get educated in Islam or any religion whatsoever? Should you learn stuff? Because what will be the ramifications of what you're learning? If I learn something and then I change my position because of the knowledge I've acquired, what should you call that? At what point do you stop saying, no matter what the tradition says? At what point does your education begin to influence your thinking? And this is what you see from modern scholars, and they try to shut them down. The people that are getting educated, and then they have much more bigger scope of thinking now, to be able to look back and see everything and take a new position. And then somehow people want to shut them down. And funny enough, if you think about it historically, think about all those Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad, all these Imams and all those people. You will never know them if they didn't do something new. You will never know them. Every scholar that you think that you know, they didn't just pass things along. They innovated something that is beneficial, maybe a methodology. All of their methodology is not something, okay, why didn't, I used to ask this question. Let's say Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik, they were the first. Why didn't they just follow them literally without changing anything? Why did they have to change some things? Imam Shafi and Imam Ahmed. Why did they have to say we use ijma of this one? Why did they have to do that? You see, Imam, what's his name? Sheikh Albani. Okay, he's a muhaddisun. He's a scholar of hadith. There were some hadiths that before him they were okay. Now, because of his studies, he changed his position on some hadiths and classed them that this one is not authentic. And some of the hadiths that people might be doubtful of, he said they are authentic. When do you get to do that? When you get education, right? Now, some people have gone there, got educated, know exactly what you're talking about. They come and they tell you something. And then you start fighting. You start reacting to it like negatively. This is what I've seen. And some of them even, they are trying to be traditional as much as possible. But sometimes when you know something, you cannot ignore it. Okay, you cannot ignore what you know about history and everything, and then you have to come with your own conclusion. If you want to be known in history, it's not about being known even. It's about, does your knowledge even benefit you? Are you just transmitting like a parrot? Won't you assimilate and then give your own view of the whole thing, right? So this attack from the lay people and the students of knowledge, okay, that are just sectarian students of knowledge, on the scholars. Maybe they don't even consider them as scholars, but they're much more educated amongst us. So when they started talking about, remember that hadith, Quran controversy, they said some of these things that they were discussing, it was already known amongst the scholars, but nobody told us. The normal people, we didn't know. Don't tell us we knew. We didn't know about the Quran is like this and all of that. We didn't know that. Maybe you should start teaching people, the lay people. Maybe you should start teaching them so that they will not be saying stuff that they shouldn't be saying. And then when they find out it's not true, that's how people live religion, by the way, if you don't know. When you have taught them something very simplistic, and then they find out it wasn't simplistic, there was more to it, and they feel like it's a lie, and then they just chuck out, man. So I feel like there's the way that the traditionalists, the Christian traditionalists, have received what was already known in the scholarly circles, that there was no dead priest coming out of the ground walking around in Jerusalem, and 500 people saw them. Even Christian people that are still trying to hold on to Christianity, they don't believe this. They believe it's symbolic. Now, when Dr. Lacuna was saying it, they saw it as something new that they've never heard before, that is denying the Bible. And I couldn't just help myself to see that contrast. Whenever Dr. Yasukodi is saying something, or maybe other scholars that are trying to, they see them as revisionists, but so what if they are trying to reform or revision Islam? As long as they are even, this is a funny thing. You see, they said there's this thing that people hate. There's much more attack on people that are closer to you than people that are very far away from you. So if Dr. Yasekodi, that has gone to Medina, he has studied with the order in Medina, he's still claiming to be Salaf, much more inclined to the Athari Salafi madhab, he's still claiming all those things, and he doesn't want to leave that tradition. He even sees this as good. But whenever he says something, because he's not part of it anymore, there will be much more attack on him, because they see him as he's going to appeal to some of the people that are still there. Do you understand? So there's this way of the group attacking such people and kicking them out. They cannot stay neutral. You cannot be neutral. You have to be on the opposite end so that we can see you. You cannot just stay around and then sneak in some stuff. So that's how people see them. So the whole point I'm trying to show you is that maybe we should stop this divide between the lay people and the scholars. Maybe we need to bring it down, and don't stop treating the lay people as if they are babies. Maybe they can understand. Maybe you should teach them the complicated stuff. Maybe that's what will even give them more diverse way of thinking about things, and they won't be trapped. And especially if people that are going into dawah. If you're going into dawah and you just have a very simplistic view of Islam, just do like normal dawah and stuff. Don't try to be educated. Sophisticated. Don't try to go and challenge other people about their beliefs too much, because if you probe them, you continue probing them, it will get to a point where they will turn back on you and ask you, okay, what do you have? And then you start appealing to some kind of tradition. Why can't they appeal to tradition? You see, you cannot then appeal to tradition after you have probed them too much. This is what I was thinking. Like, you have to apply the same standards. You cannot apply one standard expecting other people's religion to be rational and to use reason, and it doesn't make sense. And then when they turn back to you, you're like, I don't care. I accept whatever. You cannot have that approach. Even if you accept whatever, find a reason to accept that thing. Don't just tell people you accept it, whatever, because they can also say the same thing. Okay, so I hope you get what I'm trying to show in this video. I know that sentiment is there, and many people, you see, later on in the future, this is my belief, scholars like Dr. Yasikodi, may Allah forgive him, may Allah guide him, okay, and these scholars of that are modern, they are much more in touch with us. You see, us, me, and people, maybe people like me, we are much more, I connect more to him than maybe some other scholars that are too out of touch with us. We want people that are closer to us. You understand what I'm saying? Like, maybe those other scholars, they will be too traditional to the point where they will not say some stuff. They will not let some things out they will keep it as secret, because them is more than just teaching people. It's not just education for them. It has become like ibadah. Okay, when it's ibadah, you cannot make any slight mistake. Do you understand? But for the other scholars that are trying to just be academic, when you're academic, you just say things the way they are. These different theories, you lay them out. You choose the one that is much more plausible, which might not be orthodox, but due to your education, you can discern and you appeal to the people. Which one do you think makes sense? Okay, maybe that's what we need to do. Let me see what you think in this video, guys. Put your comment in the comment section. See you guys later. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.